How We Got Here. How we got here on a Monday afternoon, John. Today we learn about the history of delivery here in Korea.
That's right. And, you know, of course, it's just been a really interesting couple of weeks for the delivery industry here. The CEO of one of the major online shopping companies stepped down from his post in Korea to focus on international business.
Interesting.
That same company had a warehouse that just was up in flames.
Saw that in the news, yeah.
And also the delivery drivers, they had a strike that was recently resolved. So it's been really kind of a tumultuous couple of weeks. And, you know, actually this morning, I read that 80% of us in Korea increased our online shopping in the past year and a half, mainly due to the pandemic.
Oh, I am one of those 80% for sure.
All of us,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've started to order not only packaged things, but food, as we mentioned earlier, and fresh produce along with pre-made stuff. So it just kind of means that we see trucks and scooters zipping across this country day and night.
I am wondering if they made a difference in the way they do their packaging, because that was an issue for a period of time, right? A lot of people were concerned about the amount of waste in terms of packaging.
Right.
And I was one of those people because I talked about it here on the show. Amazingly, delivery people were doing an incredible job, but it's just the boxing and the tape and the plastic, it just seems too excessive. But now I've noticed a difference. So I don't know if they've made an adjustment or not. Or maybe I'm just ordering things differently than the way I used to.
I don't know, because I just ordered some kale. And Dumb John ordered the wrong kind of kale. So instead of like the small kind, the samkale that we're used to eating, I ordered the massive ones that look like fans.
Oh, really?
You know, the really huge ones that you make big stews. I mean, it's kind of like, I guess, for restaurants. Sure. So I had two big ones, and it came in a massive box.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm not sure that things have changed all that much, but I could be wrong. It just could be the fan-sized kale that I ordered.
You're right.
Who knows, right? But really, any talk about delivery, especially food, has to start with kind of the history of portable food. You know, and not just for royals, but for average citizens, because royals always had their food delivered right straight into their mouths often. So, you know, the invention of already prepared food was really essential for delivery to happen. And the first instance of this, of course, was in ancient Rome about 2,700 years ago. It was a restaurant called Thermopolium. It sounds like a place where an evil genius would hide out, right? Or take Superman to or something. But it's actually like one of the first fast food places, and they had clay pots out on the side of the alleyways that had prepared food that people would walk by, give money, and take home.
And take it with them.
Yeah. So this is really the beginning of kind of fast food and delivery. Now we jump to about the 1700s in the United States. Milk. Milk delivery. I mean, it's one of the classic, iconic symbols of like 1950s America.
The
right?
glass jars.
That's right.
Yeah.
The friendly milkman, you know, with a hat delivering stuff. But it happened in the late 1700s because people bought milk from farms that were near them. So there was no refrigeration. You know, and you couldn't drive a car to the grocery store. So the farms brought the milk to the people. So that was the beginning of a very, very lucrative industry for delivery in the U.S. Now we jump to India about 100 years later, 1890.
Okay.
There's a thing called the dabawala. And I'm fairly sure I butchered that pronunciation. I'm so sorry, dabawala. But this is what modern delivery looks like. Hot food was cooked at central kitchens.
Yeah.
And delivery men rode bicycles and or trains to deliver to people at their places of work in Mumbai.
Still exists today.
It still exists.
I watch a documentary on it if you can find it. It's really quite fascinating. These delivery people are incredibly talented and incredibly organized as well.
Yeah, and it's a very intricate system that has worked for a couple of hundred years.
Yep.
You know? So then we move up to the 1960s in the U.S. to a thing called the roach coach. Have you heard of that?
Roach coach. I have not.
Coach. You can imagine, you know, like maybe... It's not the most appetizing sounding
Yeah.
name. But what a roach coach was, and still is a food truck.
Oh, okay.
So we know the food trucks are super trendy now, but this started back in the 60s.
Yeah.
And so these campers loaded with ovens and fryers and refrigerators would pull up to construction sites, office sites, and people would come out and buy their by their food.
Sure.
So
And that still exists today, too.
Wait, I used to do that when I was a house painter as a kid.
Oh, really?
So we'd, work from 5 a.m. to 7. The roach coach would come by, and we'd all walk out, grab our breakfast sandwiches or whatever, and it would go on to the next site.
Cool.
So it's like a really cool kind of a thing. Food coming to us instead of us going to it.
Well, then Roy Choi kind of changed all that with the taco truck in LA, right? Where he would tweet about where he was going to be. And it became like this online cool thing. And then people would literally travel to where Roy was to get their tacos.
Yep.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like it defeats the purpose of a food truck. You're going to the food truck, an ever-moving target.
Yeah.
But that was a genius idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really was. So we can bring it to Korea now, right? Because as we were talking earlier, Korea has to be the king of delivery right now, right?
Yes.
No question about it. If there's another country that does a better job, I don't know how they could possibly do a better
I
job.
haven't heard of any. But
Let's get the details on how it is here in Korea after this. It's the Marvelettes. Please, Mr. Postman. The history of delivery today in How We Got Here on a Monday afternoon with John. And as you mentioned, John, before the break, now we come to Korea.
That's right. As far as I can tell, food delivery in Korea really exploded right around the 1950s. Apparently, like jjajangmyeon. We all know jjajangmyeon. I guess for decades before the 50s, Chinese immigrants were settling in Incheon. Of course, a very famous Chinatown there, right?
Yep.
And people were going there to enjoy jjajangmyeon. But after the Korean War in the 50s, this appetite grew and grew, and there were some entrepreneuring businessmen in Chinatown who decided to deliver jjajangmyeon. And it was like the number one thing that was delivered everywhere, as you can imagine.
It's what everybody wanted for lunch, huh?
Yeah. In the 1970s, it was pretty much ubiquitous, particularly in the Seoul area. And actually, I remember, I've been visiting Seoul since I was a boy. And I remember my grandmother ordering jjajangmyeon on the phone. And about 10 minutes later, a metal box would appear in front of her door.
Yep.
And we would eat it and put it back in the box.
You got to get the gunmandu with it, though.
Yeah, always. That was even a thing back in the 80s, I remember.
Right.
And that hasn't changed one single bit. And that's a beautiful thing, right?
Absolutely.
So that kind of went on for many years until the 90s when we fell in love with fried chicken in South Korea.
Okay.
Then, of course, everything changed.
Yeah.
Now it wasn't good enough to kind of offer delivery. It was mandatory. You had to be a restaurant that delivered fried chicken.
I remember when I first moved to Korea, that was kind of an interesting thing for me that I noticed that was different from, living in Halifax, Nova Scotia and ordering food. Because, yeah, of course, in Halifax, you can order food. But the difference was a restaurant that you order from in Nova Scotia or in Halifax, like late night or whatever, is probably going to have 30 or 40 or maybe more different items from different food cultures all in the same item. But we wouldn't necessarily have a restaurant where you would call them and get one thing and one thing only, if that makes sense.
I see.
Yeah, sure, Chinese food restaurants where you'd have only Chinese food. But I mean like specifically fried chicken. I remember that was one of the first things that I thought was, oh, that's pretty cool. In my first neighborhood in Hwajong, in Hatbitmar, the chicken place was right up the street and they knew me and they knew what I liked. So I would just call and I would say like, it's Steve. And they'd say, nay. And then they hang up. They bring me the same thing every single time. I was so happy about that.
That kind of service really ramped up in South Korea, and there was a reason for it. Competition. So everybody, like, Kate, you were talking about your chobap experience.
Yeah.
People had to become a little more personable and start relationships. And that's kind of how we got to now, really. All these places really doing their utmost to become the restaurant of choice that delivered.
Oh, man.
And of course, it got even more jacked when the 2000s came along and smartphones. Because now suddenly we were calling people from Hangang River and saying, I'm having a picnic with some friends. We need 3 boxes of fried chicken. Here's where I am.
Which I still have not done yet. And that upset Kate very much last week when she learned that information.
Yeah,
much as it upset me that you've never tried churros.
That too, yes.
It's quite fascinating, though. When I first moved to Korea, I'd walk along the river, and I would see these little scooters like kind of parking, and then I saw this delivery in action. And I was like, this is the most brilliant thing I must do this someday.
Do the delivery people just not even wait? I wonder. I was thinking this over the weekend. Because you said, you just go on the app, you order, you drop your PIN, and then they bring it to where you are.
Yeah.
But do they ever just show up with a ton of different fried chicken and walk around, kind of like they
like
do?
sellers?
Yeah, like they do at a baseball stadium with the beer backpack thing.
Well, then the chicken would go cold and stale, so no one would want it.
I guess so. I was just thinking it would sell so quickly that it wouldn't really matter.
No.
You know, is it true? I heard that back in the day, you could order fried chicken to baseball games.
I think they sold it there.
Yeah, maybe before they started selling it
Yeah.
themselves, you could get it delivered
Maybe.
too.
'Cause I thought I heard
Yeah.
that, and I was like, that is the most genius thing.
I mean, now there's at least one baseball stadium that it's like a golgijib.
No, you have to get the fried chicken if you're going to watch baseball in Korea.
That's what I did my first time watching baseball here. It was like nothing but fried chicken.
You don't even watch the baseball game.
Yeah.
It's secondary.
And the crazy thing is all of this delivery service that we have in South Korea has netted these companies, at least in 2020, which was like the most profitable year, between 11 and 13 billion US dollars.
Yeah, it's not surprising, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the quality of service is just unbelievable. I mean, you order something. I mean, I don't know. I think we take it for granted now that you order something by 11 or 12 o'clock at night and it's at your door at 5 or 6 or 7 a.m. before you even wake up. I mean, that is unbelievable.
That's almost too early.
Yeah, like take your time.
Like you want to wait a little bit for your product.
I know.
But it is. It really is unbelievable. I don't think we have anything like that in Canada.
Nor in the U.S. We might now, but I have no idea. I mean, Korea is so efficient in that sense. And we're talking about delivering food and all sorts of things, but of course, people have been delivered.
People. Oh, you wanted to share a cute story.
Yeah, I got two of them actually. Like the college entrance exam, the sunung, right?
Oh, yeah.
I've read that people would actually call 택배 아저씨s to deliver their children to the testing sites.
On the back of the motorcycle?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is like outstanding. But so way back in the day when we were near Myeongdong,
The old TBS studios.
the old TBS
Yeah.
studio, I hosted a music show. One of my guests was a good friend of mine, Noise Cat, Sokol. And so he was late for his segment. And I think we were live at the time. And I got a text saying, oh my God, I can't find parking. So he had to park somewhere. You know how hard it was to park in Myeongdong, right? So he found a parking spot, ran out into the street, hailed a 택배 아저씨, and he gave him the story. He says, look, man, I'm a guest on a radio show. I'm late. Can you give me a ride? And then the guy goes, get on. And you can just imagine how cute it must have been, taking this mop-haired guy to the station. He showed up at the station kind of sweaty and panting, and he's like, I made it.
Yeah, right.
And thanks to a 택배 아저씨.
Wow.
You can get anything delivered here in Korea.
They all need a medal.
Exactly.
They do.
We will leave it there for the first hour of the program for today. To finish up the first, it's Sting, Send Your Love. 100 years of wisdom. 100 years of wisdom today, Kate. We're talking things related to delivery, yes?
Yes. Specifically 택배 for some of the questions, and then there's like just the history of parcel or postal delivery in general. So I'll start off with the 택배 one because we've been talking a lot of stories about 택배s and whatnot. So according to the Korea Integrated Logistics Association, there was a total of 20.3% increase in the amount of 택배 deliveries just last year, which to be honest, I don't think that that's as big of an increase as I thought it would be.
I was just about to say the same thing. Yeah.
Right? But that's according to their statistic. That's what they found, which means that it was 33억 7천만 개 pieces of packages that had been delivered. And what is that? Like 33 billion?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, this means that the average Korean person used 택배 services on an average of 122 times a year.
Okay.
So here's my question. How frequent does that mean in terms of days?
It's almost once every 3 days, right? Isn't it?
John is punching the
like,
numbers in his mind
math.
right now.
No, I'm just thinking about the fried chicken I'm going to order tonight.
356 days a year, right?
Yep.
120 something you said. So that's like every 3 days. That's pretty frequent.
That can't be right.
Isn't that insane? That is true.
But
Is that the answer?
Once every 3 days, there will
Yeah.
be some kind of package that will be coming to your door.
I'm not surprised by it because in my previous house, so at the start of COVID, I always went to the grocery store before. And I tried different methods of shopping. Sometimes I would go almost daily and pick up whatever I needed for dinner.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I would go once a week. And then sometimes I would do like this massive grocery run for the once a month thing. And I never really shopped online before. But my neighbor did. And I remember talking about it on the show. It was like clockwork. You could guarantee they were getting something delivered every single day, and it was often food and stuff.
Oh.
And slowly I started getting into it a little bit, and then I realized I've been missing out on this. It's insanely convenient. You don't even have to go to the grocery store anymore. And because of COVID times and grocery stores can be very, very busy and very, very crowded,
right.
I started doing the majority of my shopping online. But, sorry, this is a little long story, but the way that I was doing it before, where I would like buy a ton of stuff at the same time, no, I started doing it almost daily, where I would just buy whatever I needed for dinner the next day and it would come to the house the next morning.
Yeah, I started doing the same thing during the pandemic. I mean, I was not one to order fresh produce. I preferred to go to the store.
Same.
I don't know why, but then when I got the produce, I realized this is really good quality stuff.
Yep.
So, yeah, now I'm a believer.
Yeah. Do you do it that frequently, Kate?
No, but I live next to like an actual like 시장, like a market. And so
Just walk over there.
Yeah, you can't really beat the prices over there and the quality of the food. And so I kind of go as frequently as possible. But usually when I'm lazy, I'll just order some food online.
Yeah, that's super convenient for you, though. And there's something romantic about going to the 시장 and picking out your own vegetables and stuff, right?
Yeah, and you just kind of be like, oh, like sometimes you'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have enough cash. And they'll be like, you know what, just take it. Or, they'll there's some kind of weird thing about that, too. It's like, I love it.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I don't know how to explain it either, but it's the grandmas and grandpas that work at the market. It's just,
the chung.
It's not about the business, it's about the human relationship, right? Yeah. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back after 3:30. Here's Adele, Send My Love. All right, one or two more questions.
Alrighty. Now we're going to move on to just general postal delivery related history questions. So when it comes to the history of postal deliveries, there is a famous example and legend of the ancient Grecian messenger, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
What? Fiddy sent the rapper?
Yes, Fiddy.
I think.
Yeah.
But I think he's going by Puff Postal now.
Yeah. I think it's Phidippides. Okay, let's say his name is Phidippides. And he ran 26 miles from the distance from Marathon to Athens, which is the birth of the whole sport marathoning.
Oh, wow. What a fun fact. I've never heard that
You
before.
didn't know this story.
No, I've never thought about where marathon comes from. So wait, there's a place in Greece called Marathon, Greece?
There was a place in ancient Greece from Marathon to Athens. He would run this 26-mile stretch to deliver to Caesar the news that they had won the war against Persia in one go. Like, he didn't stop. He had the message in his hand and he ran that whole 26 miles. And apparently after he delivered that message, he passed away. And so that's why, to commemorate him, that the whole sport of marathon was birthed out of this event.
Amazing. I've never heard that story before.
Well, now you know.
I'm so happy I know that now.
Now, with this piece of history in mind, the word courier, courier, which is kind of like another word that's commonly used for like 택배, right? Like parcel deliveries, is derived from the Latin word curriere.
Say that one more time.
Currere.
Okay.
Pronounce it one more time.
No. What does this word mean?
What does it mean?
Yes.
To bring.
Okay, to bring. What about you, John?
Carrier.
Carrier? Like career or carrier? Is that your guess? Really? Legit?
Sure.
Okay. No. The story. What did he do?
He ran.
To die.
So courier means to run?
To run.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. All of these words coming together. History.
I'm going to courier to some fried chicken right after the show.
You mentioned that. All right, let's do one last question before our break.
All right, there was a particular method that was used around 3,000 years ago to deliver a message, and this practice wasn't merely confined to one or two cultures or a geographical location, because Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan, and even ancient Persian civilizations all used this method to deliver messages. Although this was kind of limited in its history, during that time it was quite accurate and very reliable, apparently. This method allowed deliveries for parcels up to 80 grams, which is not a lot, and cover 1,100 miles in distance. That was allowed.
It's
Gotta be a bird.
carrier pigeon, must
Yeah.
be.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
It's a
right.
carrier pigeon.
How does that work though? That's, to me, that is one of life's great mysteries. How those
It must take so long to train those things.
Yeah, but
right?
how do you even go about training them to go to a location, drop something off, and then come,
Well, you
come
send
back?
them to a pigeon hagwon first for a
Yeah,
couple of years, and then boom.
Blows my mind, right?
Right.
All right, thanks for the quiz, Kate. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get back to your messages. Here's Wilco, box full of letters. Our question today, tell us some of your most memorable delivery experiences. 7143 says, Korean delivery service is really amazing. Once I ordered some Christmas gifts from Amma Blank for my family. I ordered them in October, hoping they would arrive before Christmas. It took them so long that I totally forgot about them and ordered some gifts on 1 Street, and they were delivered on Christmas Day. So sad that the delivery guy had to work on Christmas Day, but still amazed by their efficiency. And for those Amma Blank orders, they came in March the following
Oh my
year.
gosh.
Order in October, get them in March. Although I think that service has improved as well.
Yeah.
But it can be a little hit and miss sometimes. I ordered a game for the show in the previous season of the show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And it showed up, and one showed up, the other one didn't show up, so they said, oh, we'll refund it because it got lost in the mail. And then, 2 or 3 weeks later, that other one showed up too, and they showed up on 2-3 weeks apart, but I ended up having to pay for both of them.
Oh.
It was a pain. It was a serious pain. So I
Yeah.
feel your pain when you share a story like that. 4472.
저희 집으로 배달 오시는 택배 아저씨 한 분이 계시는데 그냥 너무 친절하세요. 한 번은 제가 공동 현관문 비밀번호를 깜빡하고 안 적어서 전화가 오셨는데 목소리에 친절과 다정함이 가득가득해서 괜히 감동했어요. 힘드실 텐데 친절함을 잃지 않으셔서 최고. 4472 says one time there's a particular delivery guy that always comes to their neighborhood in their house. One time they forgot to put in there's like the main gate where everyone enters through and you have to kind of punch in the code for them to leave it in front of your house. I forgot to put that on the delivery message, and so I had a phone call, but he was so kind and so sweet that I was just so moved by it, and it was just kind of touching to see him not lose that, his niceness, even
Yeah.
though he probably would have had a lot to deliver that day.
And I'm sure that's annoying, right? When you get there and then, the customer didn't put the number in, so
Yeah.
now I have to make an extra phone call. And that probably happens a lot, right?
I'm bet.
So to keep that smile on your face when you're working in customer service is easier said than done. So well done.
Yeah.
0988, one time I received an extra package that I had not ordered. It was so weird because the address was correct and it had my name on it. No matter how much I checked the app, I had never ordered or paid for it. I contacted customer service for them to pick it up. They apologized profusely and I felt bad. It wasn't their fault and I wasn't complaining, but I was just worried that someone might not have received their package when they were expecting it or had to pay for it without getting it. I contacted them 3 times. Every time they apologized for the inconvenience, but in the end, they never picked it up. I understand they're busy, but I just hope no one gets in trouble for this.
Oh, yeah.
That's weird, isn't it? Because it had your name and your address
That
on it.
is odd because
Yeah.
that doesn't really normally happen.
I've never had that happen to me before.
Usually it would be like a wrong address and wrong name on
Yeah.
it, and then the guy just kind of delivered incorrectly, and they'll take care of that really quick because somebody is waiting for that package.
Which means somebody's contacting them and saying, my package hasn't arrived yet. Where is it, please?
I wonder if this person opened up that package. I mean, it had your name and address on it.
I guess so. Maybe it was a gift from a mystery admirer. Who knows? John, 7873, please.
Well, 7378 says, whenever I order food on an app, I always check how far away they are and go down to the first floor to receive the food from them, hoping it saves them some time from walking up and down the stairs. There were a couple of people who actually thanked me for coming down, but most looked super busy, which is totally understandable. That's so
very
nice.
Yeah, that's very considerate of you to do that. Go down and wait for them so that they don't have to come up. I always appreciate the customer delivery people because sometimes in my apartment I'll see them and they have their trolley and they're going to multiple floors, right?
Yeah.
So if I get in and it doesn't have, and they've hit many different floors, they'll cancel it to let me go where I'm going first. And then they'll go back to their job. And I said, well, I didn't say you don't have to do that because it would have been me traveling through the whole building. But I did say, oh, thank you very much. That's very nice. Very, very considerate, right?
It is. I just hope that they hadn't received complaints about that. That's why they did that.
Yeah, I don't think they would.
I hope not.
But these delivery drivers are a lot of them on the scooters are working per order, right? That's how they make their money. So they're always in a rush.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's,
true. That's true as well.
It's such a competitive business.
That's true.
Yeah. 8264 says 택배 아저씨랑 마주칠 일이 많지 않았는데 코로나 동안에 oh my god. 재택근무를 하게 되면서 excuse me. 몇 번 뵌 적이 있어요. 작년 여름에 잠깐 편의점 들렀다가 집에 오는 길에 마침 택배 아저씨께서 저희 집 앞쪽에 근무 중이셨는데 너무 땀을 많이 흘리고 계셔서 제가 샀던 음료수 하나랑 과자 하나 드렸더니 너무너무 감사해 하셔서 제 마음이 다 벅찼던 기억이 있어요. 대한민국 모든 곳에서 열심히 땀 흘리며 근무하시는 배달원들에게 응원 보내요. 화이팅. 8264 says that I normally never bump into the 택배 delivery guy, but while during Corona, I had to work from home. And so I had bumped into him a few times. And it was last year's summer when I was on my way home from the convenience store. And I just kind of bumped into the delivery guy that was in front of our house. And so he was sweating so much. And so I just gave him one of the drinks that I had and like a snack that I bought for myself. And he was so thankful. I felt really touched by and moved by that. Like that he was so thankful for this little thing, even though it wasn't such a big deal.
Right. Oh, I'm loving these stories today.
Yeah.
7649 says, I'll try this one.
Okay.
저는 새벽 배송이 아직도 너무 놀러와요. 진짜 너무 무리하게 일을 시키시는 건 아닌지 걱정돼요. 그래서 저는 새벽 배송 절대 안 하고 왜냐하면 particular type of company 안 해요. 택배 기사님들 무리하지 마세요. Now tell me what I just read.
You know those like early morning deliveries where
the middle of the night ones?
Yes, the middle of the night ones. I'm still mind blown by those, and I really hope that they aren't like working their backs off just because of this service that they're providing. And so for me, I never do this service ever again, and I rarely do the one that's like the one-day service either. And I hope that they aren't ruining their health over this.
Yeah, they do work insanely hard, and this became an issue in the delivery in the news, right? And then the president even gave them a day off, if you remember that, not so long ago.
Very complicated.
Last
issue.
one, Kate.
8610 says 한 번은 반송할 물건이 있었는데 제 실수 때문에 택배 아저씨께서 고생하시는 것 같아 집 문고리 앞에 음료수랑 빵을 쇼핑백에 넣어 챙겨드렸는데 집에 와보니 문에 고맙다는 메모가 남겨져 있었어요. 왠지 뭉클했어요. 별거 아닌데. 8610 says one time I had a delivery that needed to be returned because of my mistake. And so I know that the delivery guy had to make 2 trips. And so I put on the door some, snacks for him to enjoy. And then when I came back home, I saw a memo that said thank you on my door.
Oh, that's nice too.
It's like that little interaction.
Yeah. Oh, everybody being nice to each other. Stories of kindness. I love that. All right. Well, we'll leave it there for today. Thank you very much for being with us over the last couple of hours. John, thank you.
Cheers.
Kate, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you as always for your listenership and your participation. Coffee vouchers today, 9193 and Nadu Maduo. Please send us an email, hatherlyshow@gmail.com with your contact information. And please remember that those gifts take a couple of weeks to show up on your phone. To wrap it up today, it's Dido. Thank you. Thank you for being with us today. We're back tomorrow. Hatherly out.